I used to watch my father stare at the wall for hours, holding a bottle like it was the only thing that never left him. I promised myself I would never become him. What I did not know was that becoming better than my father would be the hardest, most painful, and most important decision of my life. I became the man my father never could, but it did not happen out of pride or anger. It happened out of survival. My name is Daniel Harris, and this is not a story about hating a broken father. This is a story about understanding him too late, and choosing a different ending while there was still time. I grew up in a small apartment on the south side of the city. The paint on the walls was cracked, the heater barely worked, and the sound of police sirens felt more normal than silence. My father, Marcus Harris, was a man with strong hands and tired eyes. He worked when he could, disappeared when he could not, and carried a sadness he never learned how to explain. As a child, I did not understand addiction or depression. I only understood absence. Some mornings, my father was there, making coffee and humming old soul songs. Other mornings, his bed was empty, and my mother's eyes told me not to ask questions. When my father lost his job at the factory, something inside him broke quietly. He never talked about it. He just stopped believing in himself. Bills stacked up. Arguments grew louder. The bottle became his comfort, his escape, and eventually his prison. I remember one night clearly. I was 12 years old. My father sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the floor. I asked him why he never smiled anymore. He looked at me for a long time, then said, "Life gets heavy, son." That was the first and last advice he ever gave me. At school, teachers saw potential in me, but I struggled with anger. I fought kids who made jokes about my clothes. I hated parent-teacher meetings because my father never came. I told myself I did not need him. But deep inside, I wanted his approval more than anything. By the time I turned 16, my father was barely present. He was physically there, but emotionally gone. I watched my mother carry the weight of the household while pretending she was fine. I watched my father fade, day by day, into a man he never wanted to be. One night, after a heated argument, my father looked at me and said words that stayed with me forever. He said, "Don't end up like me." He said it with shame, not anger. That night changed everything. I realized something powerful and terrifying at the same time. I was standing at the same crossroads my father once stood at. Poverty, frustration, and pain were already knocking on my door. The cycle was waiting for me to repeat it. And that scared me more than failure. I decided I would not let my past decide my future. After high school, while many of my friends fell into the streets, I worked 2 jobs. One at a grocery store, one cleaning offices at night. I was tired all the time, but I felt alive. For the first time, I felt in control. College was not easy. I was the first in my family to attend. I felt out of place, like I did not belong. Some days I wanted to quit. Some days I almost did. But every time I felt weak, I remembered my father sitting on that couch, staring at the floor. I promised myself I would not stare at life. I would face it. During my second year, my father was hospitalized. Liver failure. Years of drinking had caught up with him. When I walked into that hospital room, I saw a man who looked smaller than I remembered. Not weak, just tired. Tired of fighting a world that never taught him how to win. He looked at me and said, "You're doing good, right?" I nodded, holding back tears. That was the moment I stopped blaming him. I understood that my father was not lazy. He was not careless. He was a man who never learned how to heal. He grew up in a time when black men were taught to be strong, silent, and broken in private. I realized something important. Becoming better than my father did not mean disrespecting him. It meant finishing the race he was forced to start without support. After graduation, I got a stable job. Then a better one. I helped my mother move into a safer home. I paid off debts my parents never could. But the biggest change was inside me. I learned how to talk about emotions. I learned how to ask for help. I learned how to forgive. Before my father passed away, I sat by his bedside and told him something I had never said before. I told him he mattered. I told him his struggles were not invisible. I told him I was proud of him for surviving as long as he did. Tears rolled down his face. He died a week later. Today, I am a husband, a father, a mentor to young men who remind me of myself. I tell them the truth no one told my father. That strength is not silence. That asking for help is not weakness. That healing is an act of courage. I did not become the man my father never could to shame him. I became that man to honor him. Because sometimes, the greatest respect you can give a broken parent is to heal what broke them. And if you are listening to this story, standing at your own crossroads, remember this. Your past explains you, but it does not define you. You can choose better. You can build differently. You can end the cycle. I did. Some cycles are not broken with anger. They are broken with awareness, forgiveness, and action. If my father could not show me the way forward, he showed me what happens when you stop moving. And that lesson saved my life. Moral of the story: you do not honor your parents by repeating their mistakes. You honor them by healing what they never had the chance to heal, and building a future they could only dream of.